Kia ora Aotearoa, good evening and welcome to the Union Report, where we review the news week through the lens of industrial disputes with union leaders, commentators and politicians. Joining me tonight to discuss events is President of the Council of Trade Unions, Helen Kelly, and Shed Secretary Laurie Nankivell from the Meat Workers Union. Welcome to you both. Coming up tonight, it's a Tallies AFCO special as we focus on the plight of 1,200 workers in New Zealand's largest and most bitter current industrial dispute. Issue 1. What is this dispute actually over? What are the work conditions for meat workers? Like Issue 2, how has Tallies behaved since becoming 100% owner of AFCO? And Issue 3, what does it say for New Zealand's industrial relations when a multi-million-dollar family can simply deem to throw a union out of its business? Plus, we'll wrap the show with a final word. Let's start tonight with Issue 1 of this Tallies AFCO special. The Meat Workers Union has a long-standing collective employment agreement. There are also site-based arrangements allowing for local flexibilities like daily production levels, work speed, staffing levels and pay rates start from $13.48 to $15.76 per hour, with production line bonuses that can push wages up to $31 an hour. Laurie, these conditions are flexible and are tied to gains in productivity. So why have 1,200 workers been in dispute for 2.5 months?
This is, 2.5 months, but probably even going back, this has been building up for the last 2 years where we had trouble with our work site, and it's gradually built up to this now.
How are your members coping?
They're hanging in there.
Yeah.
A lot of them are struggling. Some have had to go in.
Yep.
Some of them have tried to find other work, but there's not a lot of work in the north. So
these conditions are very, very flexible. They are connected to productivity levels. What's the beef that Tallies have with you?
I don't really think it's about the conditions, because we actually work. We're very flexible, like you say. We get the job done and we do it well.
Yeah.
So
this has got nothing to do with the economics,
no,
has it?
No.
It's ideology?
Probably.
Helen, this week work is seasonal and it fluctuates. Is the message here that blue-collar workers have no right to expect job security?
Yeah, that's basically it. Also, I think this is a direct attack on the union in these plants, and actually Tallies hasn't been too shy about really admitting that.
Right.
They've spent 18 months, as Laurie said, deunionising a whole lot of workers by offering them a bonus to sign over to an individual agreement. They're in court in a case saying they laid off a worker early because he was a union member. I mean, they don't have any, there's no shyness about their preference, and many of the things that they're trying to implement into the new collective really allow them to deunionise the plant completely.
Have we gotten to that point in this recession where you're just lucky to have a job? Is that why the push is against union rights?
Well, that's the narrative, isn't it? Don't bite the hand that feeds you, be grateful to have a job, all this sort of thing. But
is
actually,
that good enough?
It's unacceptable. And what you've got workers here, and Laurie will tell you, he's got workers at his plant, been there 30, 40 years for this company. Many of them, gone through injuries, gone through illness due to the plant, living in not great conditions despite all those years of service. And now suddenly, boom, locked out because the company wants more. It's totally unreasonable.
Laurie, seniority is entrenched in your collective agreement, the last one on first off principle. How do older workers who have been with AFCO longer fare under these new terms?
Well, under the new terms?
Yeah.
They, we're seeing it now. We're locked out, basically. So you would only work season to season. You wouldn't even know if you had a job next season. So
well, how do those families, how do they plan? How are they able to know what they're doing next year, 6 months, 3 months from now?
Well, seniority at least gets you a job next season and after, and so you can, buy a car or a house, plan for a house. But without it, you'd have nothing. You'd be basically just waiting by the phone.
So we're looking at throwing all of those older workers just onto the scrap heap. Is that what AFCO proposes?
They're actually not all older workers. There's some that are in their 30s and 40s.
Like, sure.
15, 20 years, and
right.
50s that are, so they're not ready for the scrap.
So skilled workers,
skilled,
people who've been there for a long time, earned their time to get a second call. They're just being pushed to one side.
Yeah, basically.
Helen, the true fallout of this dispute has been the fact that these 1,200 workers feed 5,000 children. What are the social impacts of this?
Yeah, well, you're seeing these disputes rolling out in very small communities, quite poor communities, reliant on these works as their main employer, and where Laurie is at Moriwa, particularly Wairoa. You know, this is the employer, and the whole community is reliant on them earning. And, you know, we've got introduced food programs in schools in Wairoa, for example, because there are kids going hungry. And yeah, there are huge social implications, but more than that is the fundamental issue about how one family in this country, who has got more wealth than most of us could imagine, is able to inflict such poverty on 5,000 kids. It just doesn't seem right on any first principle basis. And we know that the communities that support these people, and particularly the Māori communities are in these regions, are very, very concerned that a company that's making its money out of the land and the sea that, you know, they lay claim to and that they once made their own, you know, living out of, is now being captured by this company who's inflicting such wealth.
Laurie, why do you think it is that the mainstream media haven't been able to jump on the story with the kind of response that they did with the Ports of Auckland? Is it because TVNZ's just up the road from where the Ports of Auckland dispute was? Because in these areas, these poor areas, they don't have any coverage, do they?
Yeah, we don't get a lot to Moriwa, although we did right at the start.
Yep.
But, yeah, not a lot now. Going back to what Helen said, yeah, we're getting social impact on our community is huge.
Yeah.
Food Bank has been pushed to the limit, and we're helping in that regard. And just probably 2/3 of our town are unemployed anyway.
Jesus.
So this has just finished them off.
What do you think the future is for these towns?
Well, it's not great if we're all locked out, that's for sure.
Yeah. Question to both of you: what concessions on productivity practices could the meat workers union make this week to get these workers back and these families fed? Well, I mean, what are the concessions?
Well, the union already has. I mean, there are 4 areas where the company is attacking. One is around new workers, what conditions they'll be offered. And look, we saw today the government announcing they're going to get rid of the rule that requires new workers to be offered a collective in the first 30 days. This company is demanding that now. The second thing is they're trying to attack allowances and shift allowances and hours of work and make workers available anytime, any place.
That people have earned over a period of time.
Sure,
right?
and the union, in regard to the hours of work, have said, let's put flexible hours of work in there, but with some conditions, like notice periods, like there has to be a demand of reason. Well, look, this company, leading up to Easter, for example, one year, when it could change shifts automatically, changed the shift from a 5-day shift to a 4-day shift so it wouldn't have to pay anybody statutory holiday pay for Easter. I mean, these workers weren't born yesterday.
It's pretty dirty,
they have seen every trick in the book. So that's the second area. The third area is the ability to change the manning and tally payments without any control by the workers. So effectively to drive wages down, and we know this is a low-wage company, and what it wants to do is cut the piece rates. And then the last area is the deunionisation by getting rid of seniority. And honestly, they want to get rid of seniority because they want to get rid of the union members in the plant and replace them with individual contract workers, and a number of other attacks on the union.
They're not looking for concessions, are they? They're just looking to screw over the union. This has got nothing to do with productivity, does it?
Yep. From our point,
Thank you, panel. Moving on with issue 2. AFCO is New Zealand's 4th largest meat processor and exporter. 15 years after its initial share float in 1995, the Tallies family, estimated by the NBR Rich List to be worth $300 million, bought 100% of AFCO. So how has Tallies behaved since 2010? Helen, how have they behaved?
Well, I mean, Laurie will tell you what work is like in that plant, and you can just, when you meet with these workers, they just tell you story after story of agreements being, you know, not honoured, of there's court case after court case after court case around trying to get them to comply with the agreement. But this is the public view chance to see exactly how they've behaved. How they're behaving now and how they've behaved for the last 72 days. Everybody can judge them on this. And, you know, they've taken offence that we've targeted the Tally family.
They did. How could you have a go at us?
They want to hide behind their brand AFCO, but, you know, they've put their name on their peas and on their fish and on all those other products. And you know, they are a privately owned company, unaccountable and trying to remain that way.
That's right.
But actually they are the ones directly involved in this bargaining, inflicting these sorts of demands on these workers and choosing to lock them out.
Laurie, on the 31st of December last year, the union's collective agreement expired. 2 months after that, after only 10 hours of negotiation, AFCO locked out 700 of its 2,100 workers, and this jumped to 1,200 locked out and striking workers. Are you, and were you as a union, blindsided by Tallies?
I think we knew it was coming, or a bit of a battle, but not to this extent.
So you thought that there was actually room to negotiate, that they would be interested in good faith bargaining?
Yeah, we always have to go into these thinking that that's the way it's going to be.
Right.
But getting there, no, there was no real bargaining there.
What have your members seen? I mean, what do they feel towards tallies at the moment?
Well, I suppose that they are targeting theirs to tallies, but as well as local management. They're actually throwing abuse at them and those sorts of things. But they are staunch in what they really believe in what they're fighting for. So
right, yeah. Because this is their livelihoods. Yeah. This is their.
We've got a big group still out. So still out. Mm.
And how does it? I mean, these are all co-workers. These are people who know each other, their families, their friends. What kind of impact on those social structures do you see?
Well, you feel sorry for them because you see them on the picket line, and it's been 10 weeks now. So you know, and you can see that they look a bit low sometimes, and you know, you really feel for them.
Do you think there are things the union could have done and should have done in this negotiation?
No, well, I know that we tried as hard as we could to negotiate with them.
Right, and you've just had it's been stonewalled the whole time?
There was a bit of a block war.
I mean, Laurie's been on the bargaining team, so he's been sitting there across the table where the unions put up. So, for example, they want to control Vitalia Manning, which we say will control the pay. Right. But we do acknowledge they need to run the plant and be able to make new investment in plant and all of that. So we've said, well, you can control Vitalia Manning, but you guarantee Vitalia payments as they are now, so that nobody will earn less. You know, they'll kill more, but they won't earn less than they're earning now. So the union's not demanding that if you kill more, you'll get more money, which is the usual piece rate. I mean, Tally wants it both ways. Want to pay piece rates, but don't want to pay for the pieces. But okay, we'll concede that. That isn't enough, because actually what they want to do is drive wages down, not retain wages.
Helen, AFCO ordered locked out workers the option of coming back to work so that when they couldn't, because of solidarity with their co-workers, they would be reclassified as strikers and lose emergency benefits and wins. What does it say about a company that's prepared to use hunger as a negotiating tactic?
I know. So they gave these workers a Clayton's choice. Actually, they didn't legally unlock them. That was the interesting thing as well. They wrote to 300 workers and said, we do, because obviously they need labour, and they said, we do want you back. If you're interested in coming back, contact the plant. Now, we know that when some people did that, they were told they had to sign the new individual agreement. So it actually wasn't a real unlocking, and actually Wins have recognised that. We're going to court this week about that. And they have agreed to continue benefits during the period to see what the court's got to say about it. But actually in the weekend, I put out a public appeal for funds for these workers. I mean, we are feeding 1,300 workers. The union movement, meat workers all around the country are putting in money. They're raising $50,000 a week, but that is only $40 a family. You know, you can't feed a family on $40. So we put out an appeal. Tally's put out a counter statement saying don't donate. You know, I mean, it was the most incredible act of
what was their justification for not?
Don't donate. This is the union's fault. These workers could go back to work if they wanted to, and people are sort of just encouraging the union.
Outrageous.
Yeah.
Well, wait, but is hunger a legitimate negotiating tactic for any company?
Well, I mean, you know, really that's why we're going to court this week, to say the company's acting in bad faith and the lockout is unlawful, because they are using the threat of lockout and the reality of hunger to try and force workers to sign individual employment agreements. And you can only lock out for a collective. And our view is that that's not their intention at all.
Laurie, to leave the union, workers were offered a 3% pay rise and a $1,000 attendance allowance, plus more training options. Why isn't leaving the union a better deal for workers?
Well, I suppose with that sort of offer, yeah, that's why some of them did go over. The ones that stayed, that's a loyalty thing for us, and they realise the bigger picture. They know what's happening in the future.
So you think that these crumbs that are being offered up front, that's just the sugar candy? Once you're involved, down they'll come.
Well, yeah,
right.
We're sure of it.
And what is that? Where's that certainty come from? How do you know that?
Well, we just watched on Anzac Day as they made all their plants work.
Yeah.
You know, it was a public holiday.
Yep. Yeah. And all those people had to go back to work regardless.
Had to go back to work.
How is I mean, where do you think the future of the Meat Workers Union will go from here?
Well, hopefully we get back in there.
Yep.
We settle our collective and get on with work, because that's basically what your average freezing worker wants to do.
Just wants to get back to work.
Under good agreement.
Yep. Politically, what do you think the political parties on the left should be doing here? Helping, I mean, because this is a clear example of some pretty serious corporate bullying.
We've had a lot of support up north from the Labour Party, Mana Party and Māori Party, and plus the local iwi. Sunny Toes come out good for us.
And so people are supportive?
Yeah, and the public.
And the public. A quick question to both of you. One of the aspects of the Ports of Auckland dispute was the sheer bloody mindedness of the company, which led many to speculate that the Ports of Auckland never intended to bargain in good faith. Is this the case with Tallies?
I'm absolutely sure.
that they never intended to.
They have had a strategy from the beginning to deunionise the plant. Now, you don't deunionise the plant by settling a collective employment agreement. What you do is you make it very, very difficult to settle.
Yeah.
The demands they've put on this union, if they were at all acceptable after 72 days of the lockout, do you think this union wouldn't be settling? I mean, the demands they've put on are targeted. One of the provisions they're seeking from the union is the right to make workers redundant who the company considers are no longer compatible with their
ideology right?
or anything.
Right.
And instead of saying it's a dismissal, because that would obviously be unlawful, they're saying then we can make you redundant if we decide that your attitude is no longer consistent with the company's view of its good, you know, what its interests are.
So if you don't love the the family enough, the first family enough, you lose your job.
Or you're in the union, or you raise a health and safety issue, or you're the shed secretary, you'll be the first one out the door, Laurie. But you know what union is going to sign that?
Yeah.
You know.
This is corporate bullying, isn't it?
Yeah, at its best.
I mean, how do you fight that? If you've got a company that actually doesn't really want to negotiate in good faith whatsoever and just wants to crush your union, how do you fight it?
Well, it's a big fight for us. Like, we're doing the best we can on the picket line, and then we've got to rely on the courts to do their bit. And that's is to stay strong too. That's a big part of it. Getting out with the media roles and that.
Yeah. And would you like to see the mainstream media pick up this story more? Because I've been surprised that it hasn't been given the kind of support that the Ports of Auckland, and I do suspect the point you made, that this is simply because they don't have the news resources in these poor areas and they're not covering the extent of it.
Yeah, this is probably strengthening our people where they're all on the internet now. They're all reading newspapers and they're getting as much information as they can. Good.
Okay, thank you, panel. Moving on with issue 3. The meatworking industry has done very well and has been doing very well. Tally's made over $20 million in profits last year, and since 1980 per worker, the productivity level has gone from 23 tonnes to 37.8 tonnes today. What does it say for New Zealand's industrial relations when a multi-million-dollar family can simply deem to throw the union out of its business? Laurie, if this industry, with these profits, can't pay workers a decent wage, shouldn't every worker book a flight to Sydney?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. We like it here. We like it in Moeroa. And, you know, basically, like I said, we need to get back to work.
But this, you know, surely out of all of the industries that we have, our primary industries, our agricultural industries, that are getting prices better than they've ever had overseas, surely with the efficiencies and the productivity gains, if these buggers can't afford to pay you a decent wage to live on, what industry can?
Probably none.
Right.
Yeah.
So surely they've got no excuses here.
Yeah, you're right.
Helen, Hone Harawira has called for a boycott of Tally's products, while the union certainly can't support a boycott. Do you understand why some New Zealanders would never purchase Tally's again?
Yeah, we can support a boycott. There's nothing unlawful with a consumer boycott, and we do support it, and we welcome the call for it. And we are in the process of developing a good meat guide so that people can choose to buy meat from other services. We know that iwi are looking at whether they will continue to supply these companies.
Let's talk about that, because that is a fundamental shift in the industrial dispute here. We've never had iwi come out with the kind of support behind the meat workers before.
Yeah, look, I would say between 70 and 80% of these meat workers are Māori, and iwi are noticing that. These are their aunties, their uncles, the iwi leaders, their cousins, their children. You know, I mean, there are families, Laurie will tell you, whole families working in these plants, mum, dad, 2, 3 kids, you know. So they've all lost their income. And, you know, iwi not only have, we understand between 30 and 40% of the red meat in this country, they're farming it, which is phenomenal. But also they obviously are widely consulted on resource consents and access to natural resources, and this is a company trying to push its way into dairy and meat and fishing and everything else. So they are a key, and this is really a very welcome development, because in the end Māori workers are in some of the lowest paid jobs in the country, some of the most dangerous, you know, forestry and fishing and meat. And construction, and really we welcome the opportunity to work with iwi to say what are the bottom lines around work in this country. And your question, if these people, if AFCO workers lose this dispute, which I'm confident they won't, but if they do, the entire meat industry will go this way, because they're all in competition with each other.
That's right.
But actually every worker in New Zealand can fear the deunionisation of a large sector like meat, you know.
What does it mean for the iwis to come out and back the Māori workers like this? Because this is a historical first. They've tended not to get involved in industrial disputes in the past.
Oh, it's a huge bonus for us up north because we all know Sonny Tau up north. He worked in the freezing oaks with us in the 80s, 70s and 80s. So yeah, it was good to see him on our picket. He's been on the picket twice. Did it surprise
AFCO?
No, the new management probably didn't know him anyway.
Oh, okay, right.
So, but yeah, it didn't surprise us that he turned up. No.
Yeah. It's good to see Māori iwi backing Māori workers.
Yeah.
And we're going to see more of that?
Across the country, hopefully.
Yeah, across the country.
Yeah.
If that kind of change occurs, do you think tallies will have to rethink their plan here?
We would hope so.
Yeah.
But really, if you think about it, iwi are huge future business interests in this country, growing by strength day by day by day. Any company that wants to build a profit on natural resources is crazy.
Sure.
To treat a workforce like this that is mainly Māori. If Tallies has got any long-term strategic view of where their future lies, they will listen to this challenge very, very seriously. And you know, we took a trip down to Motueka and Nelson with these workers to show that community what was going on in these communities. And the number of workers that came and talked to us that worked for that company and the stories they told were quite upsetting. And they welcome also this AFCO workers taking on this company and trying to get a decent go. It's very, very important across the country for workers in this company.
What change in industrial disputes could the iwis bring about? Because surely, as you said, if AFCO get away with these kinds of conditions, you're going to see it across the industry. Would this be a direct challenge to those other employers looking to do that as well?
Absolutely. I mean, how this dispute resolves will be a message to these other employers.
Right.
If Tally succeeds and gets rid of the union, that will be a message to these other employers. If these workers and iwi and everybody, the community and massive community support stick together and say we're just not going to tolerate this, it's too much, then there will also be a strong message.
Question to both of you, why should New Zealanders care about workers being abused by the ultra wealthy? I mean, why should the rest of New Zealand care about this?
Because it will affect everyone afterwards. The flow-on would be, if a loss was taken here, it would affect everyone.
Well, the impact on the economy, the impact on low workers, we're driving them down even further. Yeah,
driving wages down isn't going to help the little businessman, is he?
Right, right. And what about for the families involved themselves? How do you see this working out for your members?
Hopefully good, because you know, our people, they are suffering. We see it every day. We work on the food bank too, and it's not a good thing to see.
How much more stress can they take?
They will hang in there. They will hang in there.
Why should the rest of New Zealand care about this?
Well, for two reasons really. On a first principles basis, these are our families. These are our working people that we work alongside. We eat their products. We know these people. We live in their communities, and it's wrong. It's just completely wrong on any first principles, and I know New Zealanders do have first principles and do understand a fair go. So that's the first reason. And the second reason is what Laurie said, is that this is a company that is employing over 1,000 New Zealanders and seeking to grow. And unless it is given some bottom lines, then everybody could end up working for them in the primary sector. And you know, and they'll stop at nothing unless they are stopped by something.
Final question: what is the most likely outcome? Will we see mass sackings?
I'm not sure about mass sackings, but the outcome we would like is for people to get back to work.
What do you think is going to happen?
We will get back to work.
What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, that's the only choice here. I mean, these workers have got no choice but to stay strong and get back to work on decent terms and conditions. And we have asked for that. We've asked for iwi support continuing to oversee this process, and for this company to be called to account and start acting reasonably.
Will tallies have a change of heart? Or do they have to be forced?
Yeah, not without pressure, but pressure is on them. But my view is, you know, that they will have a change of heart, whether you can call it that, change of mind anyway, and that we will find a solution.
So they've got to know that the economics is not going to stack up.
Yep, the economics, the community support, that's why the boycott is so important.
Yep.
The community campaign around their products, but also these workers, their industrial action and staying strong together.
Thank you, panel. Let's wrap the show with a final word. Helen, your final word this week is?
Yeah, well, anybody that saw the Stuff website today will see the government's announced major changes in industrial relations. It's ironic. Front page of the Herald, thousands of workers going to Australia. Front page of the Dom Post, government making it even harder to be a working person in this country by undermining bargaining. It is the most regressive, unfortunate step. It would have resulted in the port workers being dismissed. They could have got away with that and replaced by lower priced labour. And if it were in place with these workers at AFCO, then I guarantee the facilitation we're going through at the moment would not be taking place.
It's a declaration of war on the unions, isn't it?
It's a declaration of war on working people.
Yep.
The unions will be fine. This is not about unions, this is about working people who want a fair go.
Right.
And if wages are to go up, then the research shows we need unions and collective bargaining. And that's why the government's trying to change the law, because they actually don't believe that wages should go up in this country.
What future is a low-wage economy?
Well, people should be able to go to work and at the end of the week pay their rent, pay their power. That's the deal. If it's no longer the deal, let's be honest about that. You can do all of that, put all your effort in, and still at the end of the week be at the food bank. Let's talk about that. It's not on, and these changes will make that an absolute reality for thousands of workers who are in collective agreements.
Thank you, Laurie. Your final word this week is?
Just like Helen was saying, like we have families up there where one is working, picking fruit in it, and they still have to go to the food bank.
Yeah.
You know, so it's those low wages. We've got to get rid of them.
Thank you, Laurie. Thank you, Helen. That's it for the show. Check out our Facebook site for ongoing union campaign and actions, and follow me on my Citizen Bomber Twitter account for all the latest show updates. Thank you for watching Aotearoa. Join us again 8 p.m. next Monday for the Union Report here on Triangle TV, the home of original public broadcasting. Good night, New Zealand.